Hi there everyone, it's Jaakko here. I recently created this worn wood floor kinda material, and I'd like to give you guys sort of a breakdown how this comes together and how I created these effects, like this edge where you can see that the wood planks have this effect where it's like a chip off the edges, and then there's also this surface kind of like a wear, and all of this is adjustable. So I did this, I just set it up in Marmoset, and I can show you guys how the settings work. So if you come here and have a new material here, you can, if you want to use the substance instead of like using the texture files like PNGs or like bitmaps, you can come here, you have this extra in here, you can just select the substance in here, and then you need to probably change some of the settings, like for example the normal. It's important that it's the right way, that in this case it's coming from substance, and I'm using I think DirectX format, so you need to flip this and also change the glossiness, like make sure that it's not like inverted or anything weird like that. So you need to sometimes sort of change some of these in order to make it work perfectly. And also, like, you can set the height if you have like this material has the height channel, so if you want to use tessellation and if you want to do this kind of effect, so like that looks weird, but like if you set the tessellation and sort of give it a little bit height, it may work. But I find it is a little noisy in here. You can see this. I'm not sure why this is happening. I think maybe the plane I used doesn't have enough resolution in it, or maybe this just it's a trick anyway. And in Substance Designer, if you use the iRay nowadays, you can't really do the subdivision if you are using the displacement. So it's we are in a little bit nasty situation nowadays. So like, yeah. Anyway, so yeah. So this substance has a bunch of parameters. So I have like basically set it up so that the user can do all kinds of, like, you can enable the planks, you can disable them if you want to just have like the base wood material in here, and then you can also change the planks amount. So if you just put like 1 in here and like the Y and X, you can just like basically have it completely different type of a material in here. So it's pretty cool that we have the ability to do that, I think. And then I'm just gonna maybe put some values in here so that we can see better. So maybe something like that might be good for us. So then I've also got planks normal intensity, which controls the normal mapping intensity for these grooves, and then we have this plank edge damages, and what this is that it just controls the strength of those edge wear effects. And we can also control the damage scale of those edges in here. So it's, I don't know what happened, it's kind of moved. So you have this planks edge damage scale, and what this does is that I'm going to show you it in a bit in a designer. So this will allow us to have like sharper kind of corner type, like a sharper effects, or then this kind of like a more smooth. And what this is that it controls sort of a, how do you say that, kind of an amplitude of the waviness, if that makes any sense. So maybe we can try like put like a number 1 in here. You can see that it changed into kind of this smooth like curves, and then if you increase this number, like put like, I don't know, like 8 in here, you can see that now we are getting these sharper kind of edges. Maybe you could try like 12 in there. So you can see now we have like this kind of chipped effects, and all of this you can just adjust it in your substance. So maybe I'm just gonna put, I don't know, 5 in there just for now. And then you have also the planks pixel offset, which controls the distribution of that wood pattern on these planks, because we don't want to have planks next to each other to share the same pixel information. This is actually one node which I created, which is free in my Gumroad if you want to get it. So you can get the pixel offset node from Gumroad. To use that effect, you just plug in grayscale value in there, and then you can plug the input texture which you want to offset. So it gives, I also program it so that you can have this slider where you can change that effect on the fly if you need to. If you happen to have some weird details happening somewhere, you want to change that, you can do that. and then you have this planks offsets random. So what this does is that it actually controls the distribution of these planks. So if you want to put like some random value in there, you can see that it is going to change those distribution of these wood planks anyway. So that's that. And then you have normal intensity for these wood normal details in here, which you can change. And then you have additional color, so this will control like some effects, what happens on the albedo channel. I'm gonna get to that in a moment when we take a look at the this substance in the designer. So you can see that we have effects like that, and you can adjust them. And then you have the hue, saturation, lightness, and also wood detail roughness. So you have a base roughness value in here, and then you have like wood detail and smudges on roughness and so on. So this substance, I had a bit of issues with this by using Marmoset Toolbag once, because I used one edge detect node, and that caused a bit of a problem. So yeah, Marmoset Toolbag used the CPU substance engine, and if you want to make substances to be used in Marmoset Toolbag, or if you want to make sure that your substances work properly in 4K in Toolbag, then I recommend to switch the substance designer into the CPU mode. So I'm going to show you that in a moment. So I actually had to do a little bit of troubleshooting with this guy to get it work properly everywhere. So that's something that if you're making substances to be distributed or to be used elsewhere, it's good to switch the engine to the CPU renderer and make sure that it works. Of course, you can just use some Marmoset Toolbag, and then if you use it, it's good to test it in 4K resolution, because some of the problems never show up in low resolution. So I'm actually still trying to get to the bottom of what actually happened, but anyway, so yes, so this is basically the substance. So if you want to get this, and if you just want to get the source file, is in my Gumroad page. So just check the description in my video to get that. So let's jump into designer to see what's going on. So it's pretty simple, basically like that. So you got these pattern, wood knots, cracking pattern, and then you have the planks in here, and then everything is mixed together using various gradient maps and so on to get the albedo and normal detail and roughness detail, and then the height is just coming from basically the planks. So I'm not putting any like high frequency detail on the on the height, because everything is, you can get that by using the normal map, and then this is gonna make it noisy if it's in the height channel. So if you guys wanna do this wood pattern thing, actually I have a tutorial about the wood floor in Substance, so you can check that. I'm gonna put the link in the description. I also probably put the card in here, so you can check this video out. It explains how to come up with this result. Actually, I did a little bit of adjusting here. I used edge detect node. I think I used it about here, and then that edge detect node didn't behave well with the CPU render. So if you come here to tools, and you can see switch engine, if you use this SSC2, which is the CPU engine, you can troubleshoot, you can see if there's some issues in 4K resolution. So that's definitely, if you're doing some substances to be distributed, you can it's good to make sure that both of these function properly. So the edge detect node has some I still haven't really found out what it is, but it has some issue in the CPU engine if you're rendering 4K, it seems so, but don't quote me on that. I'm gonna be maybe researching that. I post some comment to algorithmic forum and also the polycount, so I'm gonna get back to that when I get more information about it. So the wood pattern, yes, so this is basically the same thing that it's in the wood floor, and the wood knots is pretty much the same thing. I did a little bit improvement here. So what you're getting here is that we have just this purling noise, and then I'm having this little kit guy in here, and then I'm using directional warp in here. I'm not sure why it doesn't seem to do much. It just maybe change the shape a little bit, and then I'm having edge detect in here, and then what this is that it just creates this. Probably again I could get rid of this one to optimize it a little bit, but well, never mind. And then I'm doing this blend to sort of blend it back. So I'm getting this, and then getting here, and then blending it to get this shape. And then I'm using splatter to to put it all around, and then using gradient map to create these effects and so on, and then using directional warp to change the shape further and so on, and using glow and getting like building up the shape like that. And then I have more glow in there, and then again levels to tighten it up a little bit, and then using gradient map to create this, and transformation to D like that. And then you have directional warp in here again using the Perlin noise, and getting like, you can see that like would have these type of shapes going on often. And so then I have another directional warp, so I'm warping this directionally in this direction by using the same pattern which is coming from wood pattern. So some guys like to make subgraphs, so sometimes I do that. I'm creating some subgraphs in here and then reference them. But if you do that, then sometimes I want to grab node from, I want to grab some information from node which is inside that subgraph. So I find it well, most of the cases useful to just put it in one graph, so you're going to be able to reference the nodes in those graphs. So I find that to be a little bit easier way to work sometimes. But of course, sometimes if you have a lot of stuff going on and it's just become impossible to manage if it's in one graph, so sometimes having the subgraphs is really good, and if you're working with other artists, it's also a very good idea to do that. But yes, so then I'm just again blending those wood knots in here and coming up with this shape. So what's really interesting here is these planks, this thing going on here. So let's take a look how I come up with this. So what I did was I used this one shape. Just what this is just a square which is a little bit reduced in y-axis, and then I'm just using the tile generator and using image input in here. So what this we are getting this one, and also we are getting the randomized grayscale values in here. So I'm using this luminance random in here, which gives us this, and there was a couple of things that I really had to kind of figure out in here, and one of the things that is problematic is that if the planks if the planks number is like, we have like the X amount, so if the X amount is less than 2, then color becomes actually the same. So I'm just gonna maybe sorry, I'm just gonna do that. Maybe we can try it so that if I'm gonna put like a number 1 in here, then what's gonna happen is that this is considered to be 1. Well, I mean the X amount is 1, so this is 1. So then this grayscale value is going to be the same for each of them. This doesn't look good because now the planks are just like, we have these stripes going on here. So I would very much like to have it so that we have like one cut in here, and then just like having, so there has to be a way. I haven't just found a way to do that. So if you guys know how to make it so that you have this one cut in here, and then you have different random values for the grayscale, that would be really awesome. So if you guys know that, just teach me, please. I want to be better in Substance Designer. So yes, anyway, so I'm coming up with this situation here, and then I'm just having the switch in here so that I'm going to be able to disable the planks with that switch what was exposed. So then what's going on, I did this non-uniform blur grayscale, and I'm just mixing it up with this one. So what this does, it gives us this little bit of gradient on these edges, so we're getting a little bit softer sort of a edge in here, and this really helps to break it up later by using then this slope blur grayscale, which is absolutely brilliant tool. I'm using this all the time for rocks or worn wood effects or worn metal effects or something like that, and this allows us to come up with this, which is absolutely cool. So the key ingredient here is to set the mode to minimum in order to allow it to work properly. So I'm just coming up with this. So what this is, I have anisotropic noise in here, and then I'm warping it with Perlin noise and getting this, and then I'm using this, I'm just blurring this a little bit, and then I'm using this to sort of cut into these edges by using the slope blur grayscale. So it works like that. So you can see that, yeah, it's pretty nice. It works. You could break this up further by using some like some like this to cut it further. But anyway, then I got the blend, so I'm coming up with some crunch pattern here by mixing these guys. So I'm sure you guys know by now how this stuff works. So I'm just getting like using histogram scan to come up with a high contrast image like that, and blending it with this directional noise in here. So I'm coming up with this kind of things, and then I'm just subtracting from this. So these are white values, and then white values are being subtracted from bright areas, which means they become darker. So that's the idea. And then I have a opacity again exposed, so users can control this effect. Then I have unnecessary blend node in here, and then just having some levels to again adjust things a little bit so that they react better for our normal map generation. So this actually is our height map for the final height output. So it's very simple. We don't have any noise here, because I noticed that if there's too much detail, it doesn't really, and nowadays anyway we can't really use if you use iRay, there's no way to control the tessellation of that object, which is just total nonsense. Please someone please make iRay better for us. Make iRay great again. That would be awesome. So yes, so where are we? So what I've done here is just getting this one, and then I'm starting to build the roughness in here. And what roughness is, just I'm mixing up all these guys. I'm getting these again, this grain, this pattern, this wood pattern here, and I'm blending it with these. So this actually allows us to give variation for the various blanks. So I'm sampling this information from here again, and again there's a little bit of these knots, wood knots things going on. And then there's one thing that I would like to mention, and this is the pixel shift node, which I mentioned, and this node is available in my Gumroad for free, so please guys grab this if you want to use it. I got so many questions in my wood plane tutorial video about how to come up with this, and I couldn't explain it so well because I still kind of suck at this. So I just I just created this node, and I used I watched the awesome algorithmic video about this, so I'm gonna link to that in the description as well, so you can check that out. So this pixel shift node, this allows us to offset the wood planks so that each of the planks will have its unique texture. And what is that doing is that I'm just grabbing these values from here, putting them in a grayscale input, and then the pixel input is that stuff we want to offset. So I'm grabbing this one and then coming up with this, and this is really awesome. So we have like this offset value which can be exposed. So I have actually exposed this one, so now it appears in the graph. So in the graph we have this offset value now. So actually this is, if I remember right, I think it was like I set it up so that it's variable. I'm not quite sure. I think that if you grab this node, you're gonna get the slider in here, and then you can expose the slider. So I think that was the way how it works. So within the node, that's actually variable. So anyway, just grab it, and you can see the slider here, and you can expose that slider if you are publishing your substances. So yes, so this is what that is. So you can see that now these are mixed up, these blanks are mixed up like that, so you're not getting continuous patterns across blanks. And then we have blend node in here again, so I'm blending this and getting some values in there, and so on. And then again another blend node, so I'm having this roughness base color, which is exposed parameter, and then I'm blending it together to be able to have some adjustable sliders. So I have this opacity in here which is exposed, and then again I'm having some smudges, which are having just basically this crunch map in here, which is I actually think I use bunch of I mix bunch of these together to come up with more original results. So we have these wood fibers, which gives us sort of this kind of a banding effect here. I don't know how to call this kind of wood grain wood fiber type of a thing. And then this is the final roughness for us. So yeah, that's how it works. And then we have the normal so as well, and I'm using actually a bunch of different things. So what's really cool about this is that our offset is exposed parameter, and I'm gonna be able to use that same parameter for both of them. So now actually this is sampling the same offset. So when I'm using the run slider, these both pixel shift nodes are gonna be in sync. So I'm able to, because I wanted to put the sort of redefine these wood knots in the normal map, so I actually created another one, and then just it happens to work really well, so like that. And then so we have like, now we have those and a bunch of things in the normal map, and it seems to be so some of these are also exposed. The strength, normal intensity is the value which is exposed, so you can adjust it in the substance if you want to use that in that way. So the normal map detail is completely adjustable, which is, I think, preferable. So yes, and then the albedo map, so let's take a look at that. So it's again very simple. So I'm actually taking this. So what I did here was I used the non-uniform blur grayscale to further sort of soften it up, so create this sort of a how to say, this kind of like a nice glowy effect in here, which is one of the parameters which is also adjustable. So this is one of the things that I come up with, and then the real deal is just this gradient map. So what this is just a bunch of values, and I just sampled these from some picture I found. So you can do it like that. So you can grab some images in here, and then you have like some wood picture like that. And if you want to come up with something really quickly, you can just double click this once, and then click this once, and choose this gradient editor, and you can pick gradient and just like drag some values like this, and this will give you different kind of results. So you may come up with something really good just by trial and error. So that's something that I use a lot when I'm doing these things, because it takes a lot of time to manually place them, try to tweak them. So just sometimes just try and see what works and what not. So that's a quick way to deal with doing something like that. So we are doing that, and then I'm going to do some blending here. So I have another gradient map, and I'm sampling these blank values to give it more variation, so the different blanks will have a little bit more variation, and blending them together in here. And then again I'm blending these this gradient nice wood blanks effect in here to come up with that. And then I'm also having I'm blending again some more, so I'm just wanting to give more variation again to these different blanks, so I'm doing that. And then again useless node which I should clean up like this. So then what I've got in here is that I'm having like some levels adjustment here to sharpen it up a little bit, to increase the values a little bit, and then I'm mixing up these further detail for these wood knots. So for these wood knots don't really show up for some reason, so I'm blending them together by using that. And then I'm just doing a hue, saturation, lightness, and these are parameters which I expose. So yeah, so this is the final albedo, and you can if you grab this substance, you can just come up here and just basically adjust anything to your liking. You adjust the gradients to come up with totally different wood. If you want to create another type of wood, you can just grab this substance and edit this to come up with different various results. So I hope that's useful to you. So yes, I'm not sure if there's much more to say. It looks pretty okay in my opinion. It could be used for video games and backgrounds for some renders and so on. So yes, I hope you find this little video useful about this worn wood floor substance in which I created in Designer. So if you like it, just grab it in the Gumroad. It's for a couple of dollars, And yes, if you guys would like me to cover some substance, something that is giving you headache, or if you have some substance that you want to create some material or some effect that you just can't come up with, please write in the comments. I would love to hear from guys that what is really interesting for you and what's really the problem, what I could maybe help you guys to come up with some ideas how to solve those. So I hope to hear from you guys. This was Jaakko. Please subscribe and I'll see you in the next one. See you and bye bye. By the way, I forgot to mention one thing about these edge effects in here, and the way how I created the effects so that we can change the amplitude of these wavy edge cut effects was that I'm using this directional warp which I mentioned earlier, and then I'm having this purling noise in here, and what I did was that I exposed the scale effect of this purling noise. And if I'm just gonna break this, I'm gonna get in here and put it so that we can see that the scale effect will control that waviness of those guys in here. So this will allow us to cut into the wood shape in different ways. So if we increase this value which is exposed, we saw before in the Marmoset, so if we do that, we can able to get more sharper cuts on those edges and adjust it also so that you get more this longer type of worn wood plank edge effect. So just a little thing that I forgot to mention, so I hope this is useful.